And here is another event worth looking at. Last Friday evening, the Phuket International Business Association, or IBAP, held its monthly meeting at Thailand Restaurant and addressed the economic situation and related consequences for foreigners living and working in Phuket. We also captured some parts of the forum, so let's have a look. The International Business Association of Phuket monthly meeting, held on October 8th, discussed the state of Phuket, our economy and politics, with a panel presentation by Bill Barnett, Alasdair Forbes, and Martin Carpenter. Their members and guests meeting was a moderated panel presentation by the three Phuket business and information experts, addressing the economic situation and related consequences for foreigners living and working in Phuket. Questions were later accepted from the audience, with some questions submitted by email. The panel were asked if Thailand's current political climate affects Phuket. Martin Carpenter, the British Honorary Consul, explained that he believes that the current situation is being managed in a Thai way. He admits that Phuket is affected, but the fact that Phuket is very strong in terms of local authorities and private businesses is a big boost for the island.
From Phuket's situation, it is affected, but fortunately Phuket being as strong as it is with its own governance. And when I say the Phuket governance is, there is the governor and his team, but there is also provincial organisations and local Phuket businessmen who keep Phuket ticking along in quite a nice fashion.
Meanwhile, Alasdair Forbes still foresees negative impacts if more violence occurs.
So until the government or someone up there decides to make a move to spread the wealth, the problem's not going to go away. It's going to keep coming back. Its impact on Phuket, Phuket's very wealthy anyway. At the moment, it's on the right side politically. It's gaining from being aligned with the Democrats rather than the red shirts. We have about 1,000 red shirts here and about 40,000-50,000 Democrats, so I don't think we need to worry about that. But the indirect impact, obviously, is going to be significant if there's more violence.
In response to whether the world economic crisis is affecting tourism in Phuket, Bill Barnett, an expert on property and tourism, said things are not going to be the same in the next decade as the global economic crisis has resulted in long-haul tourism starting to decline. The US and European currencies have also declined, while Asian economies became stronger and stronger. More tourists will be on short-haul trips. In Phuket, we are going to see a new generation of tourism, as he continued.
One thing we know going for the next decade certainly is we have a whole new world in terms of long-haul tourism simply, certainly started to decline in currencies were starting to be hit. The euro and the pound took a pounding. You go back a few years and you have the pound trading at the mid-70s to the baht, now it's trading in the mid-40s certainly. So you have different standing patterns. After the financial crisis in the US and Europe, you had airlift on long-haul flights, which is shrinking certainly at the same time. And as the recovery slowly seeped in, certainly the Asian economies became stronger and stronger. Asia led the world back on the brink really during 2008, so the dynamics changed. Everybody says now, we're getting different tourists, certainly, but people everywhere in the world are getting different tourists now. We're seeing so much Asian wealth, we're seeing currencies are coming into play, so it's very hard to forecast and saying when are things going to actually go back to the same they were. We don't see that trend necessarily coming back in the next 3 or 4 years. We're within a unique position here. We're within 8 hours of half the world's population, be it China, be it India. The volume markets. It's not only indicating a cheap market, but it's indicating that certainly this is where the tourists of the future are going to come from the short haul. If you go to England or you go to the United States, when are the economy is going to recover? We don't see that necessarily happening today, tomorrow, the next day. So I think Phuket really needs to plan ahead for the new generation of tourism.
Meanwhile, Martin Carpenter, the British Honorary Consul, who is also doing business in Phuket, gave his view.
And the Tourism Authority of Thailand and the Ministry of Tourism and Sport will tell us that the arrivals in Thailand, in particular the arrivals in Phuket, are going up. I don't think that's wrong. But what has happened in Phuket over the last 6 to 8 years is that the number of hotel rooms, the number of choices that tourists has increased by enormous percentage. I have no idea what it is, but I would say that the available rooms in Phuket in the last 5 years has possibly increased by something like 40, maybe 50%. There are guest houses, there are villas, there are people that own villas who are possibly affected by the financial crisis, who are now renting their villas out. I'm not sure if they're all doing it in the correct way. I wish they were, but maybe they're not. But they're renting their properties out. There are more hotel rooms, there are more guest houses, there are more choices. There's Khao-Lak, there's Krabi. So there's an enormous amount of product out there. The amount of people increase coming here. There is an increase. Sounds great from a public relations point of view, but the increase is not equal to the increase in the amount of rooms that are available for people to stay.
The forum also discussed how Phuket property is coping. Bill Barnett insisted that it's picking up, but he also pointed out some challenging factors.
Mid-decade, certainly we saw a huge amount of mass development during a period of 7-8 years here on the island. We certainly have, undoubtedly we have an oversupply of mid-tier resort-grade housing in terms of projects right now in the inventory. I think something that's good, that has been good certainly, is there's been kind of a failure to launch of new projects over the past few years. We've seen activity at the top end of the market, we've seen activity at the bottom end of the market. For Phuket, it's unlike any other property market in Thailand. It's strongly dependent on foreigners coming in and buying property. So while at the same time Phuket's been suffering for the past few years here at Bangkok, and there's been a lot of transactions because we have Thai buyers. Thai buyers now, when they want to buy resort property, they jump in the minivan with 6 people and drive down to Hua Hin. They're going to buy there. They're going to buy condominium projects. Certainly, it's very hard to attract those people down to Phuket. So we're a mono market. I think one of the challenges of the market right now is how to attract a broader base, or how do you develop new markets. We see in Patong low-end condos actually transacting to Thais, and we see activity at the top end of the market. But for right now, we're not going to see the property market coming back until we see one thing, and that's leveraging your debt to buyers. We see so many buyers now from Hong Kong or Singapore who are Hong Kong nationals and Singapore Chinese, and they say, I can go to KL and I can put 15 or 20% down on property, I can get a mortgage, I can get guaranteed yields, there's stability. Phuket still is a market that when you buy something, you buy 100% down. So until that changes, we're not going to see things go back. We're seeing some discounting in the market, you're seeing some land prices certainly fluctuate a bit. In terms of transactions, we haven't seen prices move greatly back. It's just indicated we're certainly on the oversupply. People are picking up some fairly cheap deals right now. But we don't think things will actually get better until we're seeing better diversity and be able to attract Thai customers down to Phuket, or we have some kind of ability to have bank financing.
While Carpenter said, judging from the information he obtained from a company dealing with a large volume of foreign transactions, this is what he had to report.
A company who do an awful lot of the land transactions in Phuket and the surrounding provinces, basically saying that the only people who have been buying land are true Thai buyers from Bangkok, who are not really looking to do any development on it, but just going to sit on it for a while until things change. And are they picking up at bargain prices? They probably have the individual wealth to buy the large plots of land, and so therefore from a per farm to per rai basis, they are picking the land up at prices that they were looking for possibly 2 to 4 years ago that they weren't getting.
The International Business Association of Phuket, or IBAP, calls itself the Phuket, Thailand Premier International Business Networking Association. They welcome new members and public to attend the monthly meetings. As of October 2010, the association's regular meetings will be held at the Thai Nan restaurant, situated directly across from Central Festival.